Day 62 of the Atlantic hurricane season, day 80 in the Eastern Pacific. It's August the 1st, first day of August 2013, and we currently have one hurricane active in the Eastern Pacific. That's Hurricane Gil, moving off to the west-northwest at the moment. 75 mile per hour winds on that one, and also 90E, the invest still going. It was very likely to form last night, but it's fizzled out and is still at 50%. But we also have another tropical storm as well, Jebi in the Western Pacific. That's Jelena, the Philippine name, and two invest, 93W and 94W. So it's all going on in the Pacific at the moment. That's the only place where we have action going on, but there's quite a lot of it. You can see all five systems active here at the moment on the Pacific wide view. 93W off to the eastern coast of the Philippines, Jebi moving towards the Chinese coast as well, and Hainan Island in particular. And looking at the Atlantic Ocean, things fairly quiet here. You can still see what was associated with the remnants of Dorian still hanging around the Turks and Caicos and Bahamas region. Not likely to form, of course, not got any tags on it for any percentages for development. And in the Indian Ocean, things remaining fairly quiet here as well, as always for this time of year. Things remaining fairly quiet, no systems likely to form over the next 2 days. You can see quite plainly here, nothing that looks like it will form anytime soon. Looking at the sea surface temperatures then, off the Mexican coast, the Pacific coast in particular, very warm waters here, around 28 degrees or more. Out at sea, waters remaining warm where the two systems are in the Eastern Pacific. The Gulf of Mexico remains warm, over Cuba as well. Waters around here, those are the hot spots in the Atlantic, 28 degrees or more, but the 26 degree gradient extends quite a way. Waters fizzling out just a little bit near the Philippines, especially in the South China Sea where Jebi is at the moment, but out in the Western Pacific, the high seas, waters remaining warm here at the moment. So here's Hurricane Gil, currently with winds of 75 miles per hour, pressure of 992 millibars, positions 12.7 degrees north, 116.1 degrees west, intensified quite quickly to a hurricane earlier today, and is expected to maintain that intensity or perhaps a bit stronger over the next 2 or 3 days, or 2 days, as it moves towards the west-northwest before starting to weaken and eventually turning into a remnant low or dissipating out in the Eastern Pacific, not likely to affect land. Here's a shear map. You can see ahead of the storm shear, there's a little pocket of area which shear is decreasing, but just off to its northeast there is quite a lot of shear, and that is increasing, as is the shear off to the western area of the Eastern Pacific there. So that will obviously capture the storm and begin to weaken it. And here's Tropical Storm Jebi then, currently with winds of 40 miles per hour, pressure is 996 millibars, position is 15.4 degrees north, 115.1 degrees west. As of the bulletin time, that would be 12 AM UTC on August the 1st, and the storm's expected to move towards the northwest as a tropical storm, beginning to intensify probably to around 50 miles per hour maybe, before it makes landfall on Hainan Island in China, and then eventually in northern Vietnam, also as a tropical storm. And then weaken to a depression inland. A blue typhoon warning is in effect for parts of southern China at the moment, so that's the current situation. Some gusty winds could occur, especially along the eastern Hainan coastline, as well as southern parts of China. Probably won't affect the Macau and Hong Kong area though, and we'll probably see some heavy rainfall as well, because there is a lot. It's quite a broad system. You can see here the latest 24-hour imagery of the South China Sea. You can see Jebi there off to the left, and it's quite a large system with cloud cover extending over Vietnam and over the Philippines. We also have the two other invests there, 93W off the eastern coast of the Philippines, and 94W, which is pretty much at the very bottom of the map, towards the right hand side there. So this is Hurricane Gil then in the past few hours. This is the floater imagery. You can see an eye developing. It's probably better shown on this one. Yes, you can see it in the very last few frames there, an eye starting to develop, and you can also see it on this one as well here, the eye developing in the past few hours as it moves towards the west-northwest at the moment. And this is the current storm in the Western Pacific, Tropical Storm Jebi, currently moving slowly towards the west-northwest, still trying to get itself organised, but I think it is doing a fairly good job. You can see lots of heavy rain moving towards the west, away from the storm towards the Vietnam coast. That could cause quite a lot of heavy rain over Vietnam, could cause some local flooding perhaps. This is Invest 93, just off the eastern coast of the Philippines. You can see it moving generally towards the northwest. Currently a low chance of development on this one, as is the case with 94W as well. So maybe it will form, but it doesn't seem too likely at the moment in the case of 93W. But 94W may have a chance. Certainly the models are developing some system forming and possibly moving into the Philippines. This is the CMC model showing the current storm moving off in the eastern Pacific towards the west-northwest, and perhaps 2 more following behind it, maybe even 3 according to the CMC forecast. The ECMWF also has 2 systems moving towards the west-northwest, and another one at the very end in around 8 or 9 days, possibly becoming a hurricane. So that looks rather interesting. The Atlantic, as you can see, remaining fairly quiet. What looks like an ex-tropical storm perhaps moving off the northeastern coast of the United States. The GFS model takes Gil towards the west-northwest and then eventually dipping towards the south. No mention of 90E in that one. Maybe it's that little one towards further south that doesn't develop. The NavGen model also moves Gil towards the west-northwest, more west than west-northwest, with that system 90E behind it, not developing much, if at all, in the next few days. Looking at the GFDL model, you can see here this is for Gil, moving towards the west-northwest as a minimal hurricane at best, and then eventually weakening into a tropical storm and eventually a depression as it moves out to sea. The HWRF is fairly similar, perhaps a little bit kinder, beginning it as a hurricane or borderline hurricane and then moving it towards generally westwards over the next few days. This is the static model ones. You can see all of them side by side there. This is for Gil, moving towards the west-northwest generally, and then most of the models curve it towards the west. There is 1 or 2 outliers there that move it towards the north or even northeast, but that will remain to be seen. But certainly no threats to land from that one. The CMC model in the Western Pacific has Jebi moving into Hainan and then China as a strong tropical storm, and another system following behind that, probably 94W, becoming quite a typhoon before striking Luzon and then moving into China very close to Hong Kong, and maybe even another storm behind that as well. The GFS model also has another system forming, and then another one behind that develops into quite a formidable storm as well out in the Philippine Sea towards the end of that one, but that's the first time I've seen that, so we may want to check that one again for any consistency. So looking at the overall predicted season scores for August the 1st then, William remains in first place with 71 points, Hurricane Barbara in second place with 70, and a new entrant in third place, BFDIA Submission 2, with 68 points. So I don't know where some of you get your names from, but I'm sure you have your reasons. You can submit your own storm totals at the website force13.com/interactive. Just click the 2013 Predictor Season button and submit your totals, and don't forget you can also check the leaderboard where you can see all 166 predictions to date on the website, on the leaderboard, the interactive leaderboard there. So what happened on this day then, on August the 1st? In 1976, tropical storm Anna turned post-tropical in the Atlantic. In 1980, a storm by the name of Alan formed in the Atlantic. In 1989, Chantal made landfall in Texas as a Category 1 hurricane. That was pictured there, resulting in 13 fatalities and $100 million as damages. In 1995, Erin made landfall in Florida as a Category 1 hurricane as well. You can see the radar imagery of Erin moving into Florida, just on that picture there. In 1996, Herb made landfall in China as a Category 2 typhoon, resulting in 233 fatalities and $5 billion in damages. Don't forget that one came from a Category 5. In 1999, Olga made landfall in Okinawa as a Category 1 typhoon. That one was pictured before. And in 2006, Tropical Storm Chris formed near the Lesser Antilles, and the one pictured Tropical Storm Gilma also formed in the Eastern Pacific. In 2007, Tropical Storm Chantal turned post-tropical in the Atlantic, and in 2012, Saola made landfall in Taiwan as a Category 2 typhoon, resulting in 82 fatalities and $161 million in damages. You can see it pictured there as it made landfall in Taiwan on this day last year, on August the 1st. And don't forget, you can track any storm that forms, including the ones that we currently have active. There are 2 to keep you company at the website force13.com/storm tracking. .html, that's the main page for the storm tracking information, where you have the where we're presented with the overlay map, which shows which storms are currently active at a glance, with the tables at the top and the bottom, which show what storms are active, what their intensities are, and indeed any warnings that are currently in effect at a glance. And then if you are more interested in a particular region, you can go basin by basin to see what's going on in terms of the tracking map, which shows the track forecast and any warnings in more detail. Obviously that's fairly important, with the blue typhoon warning currently in effect for parts of China. Will likely be extended for much of the south coast of China as time goes on, and maybe even a warning for Hong Kong if it moves towards the north, and Macau as well. Don't forget you can visit the social pages, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Force 13 is on all three of those. Just search Force 13 on the relevant site and you should find us fairly easily enough. And please do show your support by doing the usual engagement on either channel, by liking, subscribing, commenting, favouriting, following, or anything else that you may think of that I can't at this moment in time. I do very much appreciate any positive feedback, and indeed any feedback at all, as long as it is constructive. And you can also visit the discussion forum on the Force 13 website. It's still fairly new, about a week old now I believe. That's online at the website force13.com. Just click the forum button and please do join up. We don't bite, there aren't many of us yet, but hopefully we'll have some more in due course. Please do join up if you're interested in discussing storms. The next bulletin will be coming up around midnight UTC, as always, on August the 2nd. That's early hours of August the 2nd UTC. That's late evening in the United States, and in the morning in Asia, I believe. But that's it for now, and I'll see you again soon.